Yes, we are recording now.
Yes, we are. Okay. So how are you today, lovely?
I'm good, Gita. You tell me how you doing.
Great. Thank you. So first, before we begin our interview, today we'll be interviewing Source, God, the source of all creation. And I'm so thrilled. But I understand Erik is here. So before I even introduce you to my friends, let me introduce Erik to my friends. Friends, but before that, Erik, thank you so much for being here. I love you.
He says, I love you all. This is exciting. He's like rubbing his hands together.
Oh, nice, lovely. So Erik Medhughes is a loving, caring, compassionate spirit guide who helps everyone who believes in him with their human struggles. All you have to do is ask.
Yeah.
And he is actually the hero of and the inspiration for the blog Channeling Erik and the Channeling Erik videos on YouTube. You can check him out. And he's the son of Dr. Elisa Medhughes, who I hold in very high respect because she's so caring, giving, magnanimously given, and also because she's wise, and also she has a great sense of humor. So do check out the Channeling Erik blog. Now, lovely, I'd like you to introduce yourself to my friends, please.
All right. This is really exciting, Gita. Thank you for the opportunity. This is our first interview together. And okay, I'll start with what I do. I am lovely. And I am a channeling Erik medium. And also I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient. I mean, that's how I work. I started channeling because of Erik. You know, I spent a few years of depression, and that led me to finding my, spiritual path. And Erik was the one. He's actually my spirit guide, and he helped me.
Who helped you?
Yes, he helped me do this and finally take it as a profession, you know, take it a step further. So right now I channel everything from the light. Spirit guides, loved ones who crossed over, angels, aliens, you know, I've always been interested in everything spiritual or paranormal, to say so. So I took it as a profession. So right now I have a website, thelovelylife.in, and that's what I do. So let's begin.
Great. Yes. Thank you so much for what you do. Lovely.
You're welcome.
Okay. So as I said earlier, we are going to be interviewing God, the source of all creation. So we don't have to invite him in because he is everywhere, omnipresent all the time. So how does God's energy feel to you? Lovely.
It's actually when you were talking about God, so Erik was interrupting and he said, no, it's not a he or a she. It's like you know, it's like more than that.
Mother, Father, God.
Yes, I'm getting a very it's quite a big energy is what I'm feeling, and I'm getting a mix of the feminine and the masculine side if we talk in terms of when we talk about people or spirits. So the energy is a mix of both emotional and physical, or more than that, you know. It's quite confusing to put it into words. It's actually vast. That's the word.
Yeah.
But sometimes when I'm channeling angels, I get a very emotional kind of energy. Sometimes it's more masculine, but this is a mix of both. So that's what
because he is indeed omnipotent, omniscient,
Yes.
omnipresent, everything.
And
so
also,
thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Gita. Also, I can feel almost like my room where I'm sitting right now, it's filled with a lot of light, which makes sense because it's energy. I just can't see it, but I can feel like suddenly there's this, the room is filled with white light, which is beautiful.
I don't see it, but I believe that he is Param Jyoti, all-pervading supreme light. I do believe in that. Yeah. Okay, our first question, which is uppermost in the minds of many right now at this point in time. What is the spiritual purpose of the coronavirus, which has caused a pandemic and paralyzed the whole world today?
I'm getting, I don't know if this might come out as sarcastic or inhuman, the word that I'm going to use, but that's what I got as soon as you asked that question. I heard cleansing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally resonate with cleansing.
On a bigger aspect, on a bigger level, but cleansing is the sole purpose. It's almost like end of one cycle and, you know, the beginning. So that was the sole purpose. Unfortunately, it also brings people living the earth plane, you know, deaths and sadness and loved ones being lost by families and suffering and everything that's related to coronavirus. But that's what I got, cleansing.
Oh, great. Oh, all right. I'm sure the ones that are choosing to leave now must have it in their soul contract to leave now.
Yes, absolutely. Everything is contractual is what I'm getting, you know, even the number, if that makes sense, even the number is decided. And
the time
also
period.
what I'm getting, yes, go ahead.
The time period.
Yes, the time period.
During which it's meant to last.
Okay, you want to know when it will be taking a back seat?
Yeah, the virus.
I'm getting at least 5 to 6 more months.
That's
you know, it after at least 5 to 6 months, it will start receding, if that makes sense. It won't end like, it won't be like suddenly one day you wake up and there's no more cases and everything and heal. So it will take its time, as it took its time to spread around the world. So maybe the speed of it receding will be slower, so it will gradually leave the earth plane. But definitely, at least after, you know, maybe 5 months, it will start to slow down.
I was under the impression that it's going to be around, but we humans will develop our immunity. So we develop antibodies and we have the ability to fight it, just like any other cold virus, you know, which never has a cure. Yeah, this is what I was thinking.
That's exactly what's happening, because after a point you are exposed to a certain virus, your body starts getting used to it. You know, even with the masks and everything is what I'm feeling. That's what I'm, the message is, even with all the precautions, it's good that you're getting a hint of all the bacteria or the virus going inside you so that you get used to it. And antibodies are built up.
Yes, all we need to do is keep our vibration high so we do not attract it, the low vibrational virus. Okay, so
I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, but it's not actually, I mean, even viruses don't have, sometimes they come in like teachers, if that makes sense. So we cannot actually term them as a low vibrational virus, is what Erik is saying, you know. It's funny, but yes, a disease has a low vibration, not the virus is what I'm getting.
All right.
Sometimes it comes
Okay.
with a lesson.
I stand corrected, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the correction. I understand better now. Okay, moving on to the next question. While Muslims blissfully, unequivocally call you Allah, Hinduism is often misinterpreted for so many different reasons. For one, Hindus believe in many demigods or deities. And another reason is they give these demigods human forms and they do rituals. Some Hindus would call you Narayana. Some other Hindus would call you Shiva. Are Narayana and Shiva two names given to you by Hindus, or are Narayana and Shiva different entities like angels or archangels?
I'm getting a feeling like they were two different individuals, if it made sense, and which I'm being told to clarify that necessarily these deities, most of the Hindu gods or goddesses were once human beings.
Oh, okay. So they're ascended masters. Yeah.
Yes.
They're ascended masters.
Just like, you know, the Buddha or ascended masters, which makes total sense, because obviously then if you do not take life as a human, you can't get the human lessons or the suffering or everything that is human, that's in the physical birth of a human. So you needed that. So I'm getting Narayana and Shiva were both separate individuals, if that made sense.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So would they be the equivalent of archangels? Oh no, sorry. Archangels have never taken human forms, human life forms, right? They've never taken birth on the earthly plane. So they are ascended masters. Okay, I get the concept right now. Thank you. How about Krishna? Again, would he be your son like Jesus is, or is he another ascended master?
Krishna is an ascended master, is what I'm getting. And also when we were asking the question about Shiva and Narayana, I was getting another aspect to the whole concept of different deities and you know, different avatars, if we can call that. It's just that different fragments of source, so that different kind of experiences can come into him or
his
her.
Being, into God. Yeah, he wants to experience various human emotions, experiences, etc.
Including even the bad ones, you know, necessarily, because Shiva is also sometimes, when we talk about anger, we always talk about, when it comes to mythological beings, always, he has this Tandava dance that he does when he's quite angry and he is in the destructive mode. So, and why I'm being told to explain this here is because these are very human emotions, which are generally not, we don't talk about gods being, you know, emotional or having anger or greed even. But we have to understand that as they are our emotions, our human being, you know, as a human being. So the same applies to them. It's almost like we're talking about oneness and, you know, we being a god or God being us.
Yes, I totally understand. I can relate to that. So in that form, Ugra form, the angry form, Shiva is known as Rudra. Okay, one question, since we are on the topic of Shiva, one question about Shiva. Has he actually integrated Shakti or Parvati into his left side of the body, into the left side of his body?
In fact, I'm being shown a picture here. It's a very beautiful visual. I don't know if that's true, although I'm brought up a Hindu, but I am really bad with mythology and all those things because my spiritual journey was different. But what I'm being shown exactly right now is like, half side of Shiva being his feminine side.
Yes.
At the same time, when he's angry, that's we generally relate anger to masculinity. But here I'm being shown that feminine side of him is actually Kali.
Okay.
The goddess Kali.
Yes,
and that's the Rudra side of him that takes over him when he's angry.
Right. Hindus call him that particular integration of the masculine and feminine energies. In that form, he's called Ardhanarishvara.
Yes.
Half in 50-50. Yeah.
Yes.
So now I understand that the feminine side represents the powerful, angry side of Shakti rather than the.
Yes. That's why Shakti
more commonly.
Yes. That's why even the Shakti word is. Sorry. Go ahead, Gita.
It's okay. Because I would have thought that the feminine side would be more compassionate, more
absolutely
giving, loving, caring.
Even I thought.
But yeah, now I understand that this is the Ugra side of the feminine aspect of Shiva.
Yeah.
Right? Am I correct?
Yes. That's absolutely. Even I was surprised to know that fact. Yeah. Because generally we relate being calm, being more motherly to the feminine aspect of a person.
True.
And it also clarifies that Erik says it's okay to be angry.
Of course, yeah.
The whole concept of anger not being good and you shouldn't be having that kind of emotion if you're spiritual, and all those things come into play.
Yeah, every emotion has to be experienced. Yeah, every emotion has to be experienced, and even women are human. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, in what ways are Krishna and Jesus different?
That will be a very vast question, if I'm getting it correctly. Numerous ways is what I'm getting. At the same time, there are quite a couple of similarities. Like there was compassion. Jesus is always considered to be the compassionate one, whether it's somebody who is poor.
Turn the other cheek.
Yeah, and it's when it comes to Krishna, there's compassion and the love part. And I'm being told about the number of wives he had. Because he loved everybody. His being was all about accepting oneness and everything.
Yes.
So that love and compassion side is very much similar in both these beings. At the same time, they are quite like for Krishna, I'm getting sort of like how he's portrayed, which is true, because he was all about human strategy.
True. Yeah.
Strategic thinking, decision making.
He was the master strategic planner.
Yes.
Yes.
Planning. Yeah. And with Jesus, I'm getting a more calmer, quieter, more observer kind of energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they're both part and parcel of God, just as how we are.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The next question is, Hindus believe in the concept of the threesome, the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So now I understand that they are real entities. And are they, or do they symbolically represent the different responsibilities of Source? Are they different entities who are entrusted with different responsibilities, or do they just represent God's different responsibilities?
Who were these three avatars again, Gita?
The
Yes.
Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva.
Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Okay.
Shiva.
Again, I'm getting a feeling, okay, when we talk about them, I'm not getting a feeling of three different entities, but three aspects of a same, if we talk in human terms, three aspects, three very important aspects of a same person.
A same entity. Would it be God?
Same entity.
The same. Okay, so different aspects, different representations of God's responsibilities, yeah? Or does it work like God being the the overseer, the supreme manager of some of the universe, and him delegating responsibilities to different archangels and angels and Devis and Devas, and then him overseeing everyone? Does it work like that?
It's weird. Actually, what I'm being told right now is like, this is source telling me. It's not like I'm a person sitting in a, in my office, and, you will, when you reach heaven and you'll find this beautiful white being. That won't happen, because
he's every.
Yes, and in fact, you won't question that, is what I'm getting. Almost like as soon as we leave the earth plane, and when we get our concepts clear, and we are, the crossing over is fine, and we know how we are gone and everything, when the shock aspect is away, and we start grasping and absorbing everything in the other side of, in the afterlife, if that makes
from
sense.
The perspective.
Yes. So we won't even question that. We are not even looking for a certain person. Oh, I wanted to meet God. So it's not like a person or the CEO of the company sitting, it's funny. That's how I'm being told. Like, there will be this person as soon as you open the conference room, and you find this one person sitting at the center of the table, and, that's not how it works. It's almost like everybody is into play.
Yeah, he treats everyone as his equals, and he would like us to treat everyone as equals, right? Because as souls, we are a part and parcel of him. But then, okay, there's a question coming up later about differences. But in the meantime, talking about the Trimurti, when it comes to the feminine aspects too, Hindus have the concept of Shakti, Saraswati, and Lakshmi being responsible for different powers, so to speak. For instance, Shakti is responsible for courage, power, and Saraswati for knowledge, and Lakshmi for wealth. So again, are they three different entities, or with different responsibilities, or it's our portrayal, our depiction of sources, various aspects or responsibilities?
What I'm getting right now is like, it was a mix of both. Like, not necessarily they were, different entities. Like, one person will be taking care of the education or the knowledge part, and it's not how it exactly works. It's almost like how we humans can create thought forms. So when constantly the whole energy about knowledge and learning is combined, and a certain focus is given towards that area, there is this thought form that is created, which was named by a few as Saraswati. So she was not necessarily there. I don't know whether because I'm not getting a feel of like everybody, even I mean Saraswati also, not every deity took a human form, because they didn't need to do that. So some of them did, like maybe Krishna did, but I'm not getting a similar kind of feeling for Saraswati.
Okay.
So it's a mix of both.
So human beings crystallize their thought forms and created Saraswati, although she may not have incarnated. And,
yes, and it's easier when you give a name to, not necessarily you need a name. And Erik is laughing, and he's almost saying like, that's where it all began, because then as soon as you name something, you differentiate it with the other. Then comes in comparison. So it didn't work as it was planned. To relate to a certain thing, it was named initially by humans. Then later on, but there was so much attachment to the name that sometimes we lose the value and the sole purpose.
And we get upset when someone gets defensive or offenses.
Yes.
Let me put in here, these are entirely my questions, and the idea of this interview is not to offend anyone, let alone, I mean, it's not to defend my views about Hinduism, let alone offend anyone. So they're just clarifications that I'd like from source's mouth, so to speak.
And out of curiosity, which is good.
Curiosity, exactly, yeah. Okay, so God, what's the truth behind Christians' faith in the Trinity again? They believe in Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. I can relate to God, I can relate to Jesus, but I don't quite understand the Holy Spirit. I would think God and the Holy Spirit are one and the same.
Well, they are. And Erik is like, do you really want to fall into trouble for this? Because it's actually not, I don't know where that whole concept began. Obviously, I'm not a practicing Christian, so I cannot comment on that because I've not been told what they believe. But if they do believe in Trinity, it's a belief like any other beliefs with various sections of society, various religions. But if you're asking source, there's no demarcation. It's one.
Yeah. Even Hindus, we believe in God being all-pervading energy. So Holy Spirit and God would be the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. God, did you inspire the people who started the different religions, or was it their own free will that prompted them to start different religions?
It's funny. It's almost like he's showing me a very. It's totally unrelated, but it makes sense. It's almost like if you spread breadcrumbs on the ground, you attract ants and birds and insects, and so it was started as these breadcrumbs of little things which would make humans curious. That's how it began. But later on it reached to a level where the demarcation and the naming and the attachment to a certain entity or a certain energy took its own turn, and then it was out of control, which was actually part of the plan, is what I'm getting, to see how it works.
Yeah, exactly.
To get the experience.
True.
To everybody, yes.
Yeah, I personally believe that the purpose of the different religions and the different races, the different complexions in human beings is for us to accept, if not accept, to coexist with everyone, because we are all part and parcel of the same super soul. And the purpose is for us to show unconditional love to each other in spite of our differences in the way we worship or in the way we look, etc., etc. So what would you like to say to those very few people who come across as fanatics or racists?
Fanatics are, if I'm not wrong, can you explain who exactly are fanatics? I'm really bad with vocab.
Okay, who believe that their own religion is the religion to reach God, the way to reach God, and they don't care much about other religions.
Yes. Okay, so I knew the word, but I just wanted to clarify. Okay, what I'm getting here is just like everybody else, even they are part of the source.
Yes.
But everything, being a fanatic or not being a fanatic, being against a fanatic also comes from the whole survival mechanism.
Yes.
You know, even not believing in a certain religion is a belief.
Yes. True.
Being offended by a fanatic is also a belief. Being a fanatic is also a belief.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So everything, all these similar thoughts, one being affected by a thought of another, you know, that everything is coming from the whole survival mechanism, like fight or flight. Almost like if you do not, if you see something that is not you, it questions you. At the same time, it somewhere questions the whole thought process or the strong belief that we've built up over the years that we've spent on earth.
Yeah.
So it's funny, but a believer and even a non-believer has a belief.
That's right.
The
So
problem comes when, the problem comes when one has a problem with another person.
With someone's belief. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's better to accept everyone's beliefs and understand where they are coming from and treat everyone with respect. Whether they are.
It is difficult, but
it's possible though.
Yeah. Yes. It's
possible.
Not impossible.
Yeah.
It's just trying to be in someone's shoes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Understand where they're coming from. Yeah, that helps us. Yeah. Instead of judging them, it's better to see where they're coming from and to respect everyone's different beliefs.
Yes.
Okay. Did Vishnu really take 10 avatars, or are some of the avatars mythological beliefs of humans?
Okay, they're telling me to write something. So I have a pen for the audience. I'd like to clear. I do a little bit of automatic writing. That's how I started channeling. Now I have various ways, but sometimes they do give me things in writing when I have to be specific. Yes, he took 10 avatars, but it was not like, I don't know how the mythology goes. I am not that aware of the whole taking birth of those 10 avatar story, but it's almost like I'm being told to explain that it didn't happen over a period of time. Like, okay, now you two will go on earth. Then next year it's your turn. Or after a decade it's you. That's not how it worked. It was again happening at the same time.
Yeah, not in linear time.
Yes, not like linear time. But maybe you would know it. Was it portrayed like that? Like one will take avatar when he is needed. So it was sort of simultaneous.
Yeah, I understand. In fact, I understand that time is not linear, but most of us humans believe that time is linear, and it helps us to believe that time is linear because we live a timed life, so to speak.
Yeah, on the physical
we want to do.
It makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Although two of the avatars were supposed to have been happening simultaneously, I quite forget which two. Yeah, it's good to know that they were real. Thank you. Okay, my next question is, Hindus believe in 33 types of Devatas, meaning Devas and Devis put together. Are Devis and Devas equivalent of angels? Do they have, for instance, if Shanishwara or Yama is a Deva, would they have a different name, the same entity, have a different name in Hinduism or Christianity or Islam or any other religion for that matter?
This is very interesting because they're telling me, and I'm saying they, because when I'm talking about source, it's almost like a couple of people talking together, a group of people. You know, I'm getting that kind of feeling like the room is full of people. So I'm not getting a she or a he. I'm getting like a group telling me stuff, which makes sense. And okay, so they're telling me almost like, it's interesting that these devas or devis, they were initially they were celestial bodies of planets, which makes sense when it comes to Shani. It is related to a certain planet, like Saturn. We have Saturn, right? So it makes sense. So they were not actually human beings or archangels or even spirit guides. They were celestial bodies who were given names by humans to be more relatable.
That's why they are they figure so much in the astrological charts.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
The planetary positions and everything that affects, yes.
How about Shakti? Would she be a Devi who has an equivalent name in Christianity? Would Shiva have an equivalent name in Christianity? For instance, it's just for an example, would Shiva be referred to as Archangel Michael by Christians?
Well, you can, is what I'm getting. I mean,
really?
It doesn't matter. What's in the name is what I'm getting. You know, that kind of feeling. It doesn't matter as long as you feel the connection. Equivalent or not, when we talk about whether they are equivalent, then we're again comparing who is big or who is not up. Yes.
Yeah, we got it earlier, right? Names don't matter.
So you can call Shiva Archangel Michael, if that is not offending people, but that's what I'm getting. So I have to be very clear. You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I can call God Shiv Shakti or Lakshmi Narayana. Would that be okay?
Absolutely. He's saying the connection matters.
Yes.
In fact, you don't need a name, but if you got it, it's fine as well. I'm getting.
Yeah. Okay. Could God put a number on the angels that we have helping human beings? Approximately, because Hindus would say 33 millions of angels, Devis and Devas, or 33 types of Devis and Devas. And Christians believe in hundreds of angels.
It's actually like if you can divide the whole population of Earth, like if one person, rather multiply, one person has a certain number of angels, think of how many do we have in total.
Wow.
You know, and if you do not want to demarcate spirit guides as some other people, you can add them to the number, because they, although they are different beings, but how does it matter is what I'm getting. So think of the number. Yes.
That's interesting. So we have so many people to help us on Earth.
Yes.
It's just a matter of asking for help.
Sometimes, which sometimes doesn't feel so. Like we don't have help is what we feel sometimes.
And some of us feel so alone, so lonely. Why should we, when all these beings are around to help us?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. So are there really such entities as archangels? And, is there a hierarchy of angels? Like we have Mahadeva and then other Devas.
I'm not getting that there is a hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Like one is superior and the other is a subordinate. That's not how it works. It's just that a demarcation of when it comes to energy, like one will be taking care of the past lives.
Yes.
One will be taking care of the guidance part.
Responsibilities are different.
Yes, but at the same time, they get the work, the responsibilities can be like vice versa. Like Archangel Michael could be my spirit guide, or in fact, what I'm getting, that we were discussing initially, that archangels can take birth as humans is what I'm getting. I don't know whether they have already taken birth. Yes, they have is what I'm getting. And it's very recent if we talk in human linear time format.
I've read about that.
Yes, so it's almost like whatever is the need of the hour.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay, so I had a question connected with that, but I forget now. Okay, yeah, I remember. I've read that archangels do not serve as guardian angels. Well, it's what I've read. Only other angels who work in the teams of archangels serve as guardian angels. Is there any truth to it?
What I'm getting here is, this is Erik telling me, like, they don't serve as guardian angels because they don't need to. Like they are generally taking care of the bigger aspects or a group of people. And for personal stuff, we have our guardian angels or the spirit guides.
That's right, yeah.
But at the same time, it's not that they cannot.
Okay, yeah, they can come to our rescue if we call to them. Yes,
absolutely.
Okay. And some Hindus worship Ganesha or Muruga or Hanuman because these deities have been given human forms, and because they have a form, it's easier for us to relate to these forms and pray to them. Seeing is believing. But God is formless, although we understand that He is Param Jyoti, all-pervading light or all-pervading energy, supreme light. Why is it okay for devotion to these demigods or deities whom some people worship? Is that devotion the same as devotion to Source?
What I'm getting here is that it is part of the plan. If you get it, like a person will be, an ardent fan of a certain deity. And only that God will be worshipped by that person throughout his life, and the belief will be very strong. So it's definitely contractual.
Okay.
So you cannot actually say that it was not part of the plan. So there is no right or wrong. But if you ask whether it serves the purpose of reaching the highest God and getting the bigger concept, it doesn't work that way, because at the same time, when you are actually, when we talk about devotion, it's always outside of us.
God is within us. Yeah.
Yes, so God is within us. At the same time, it's about us. It's about self-love. And when we are devoted to something other than us, because devotion is is focusing all your energy into something. Right? If that makes sense. So somewhere when you do that, you are going away from the path of your own good, if that makes sense. Because you're always, yes, because you're always considering taking decisions because a certain energy might not like it, or this is how I should be. So there is nothing that you should be or you shouldn't be doing because of another entity, if that makes sense. I hope I'm not confusing with this answer. But so what we are meant to do is focus inside.
Focus inside. But then we have been taught in the power of prayer, praying to God as an entity outside of our heart. So is there any effectiveness to prayer, or should we be believing in our power, our soul's power for unconditional love, for fulfilling everything that we need, things like that?
Erik is answering this one because it's interesting how all concepts get messed up in the way of imparting knowledge. Because prayer is definitely good because it helps you focus on the positive. It brings hope. Rather than worrying about something, you just pray and you sleep, and next day you hope that things will be fine. So prayer definitely works because you're focusing on something positive.
Yes.
But at the same time, it is not praying to something that's outside of us. Praying should be like just putting it out in the universe and being fine with it. Sort of how we manifest things, the belief. You know, optimism comes into play. So he's saying, so prayer is not praying to something outside of us.
Putting our thoughts out into the universe, so by law of attraction we manifest what we have prayed for.
Believing that yes, it will be taken, because sometimes you, after a point to a lot of issues in our life, we no more can do stuff to make things fine.
Yes.
That's when prayer helps.
Yes.
You know, so it's not a negative thing. It definitely brings hope and positivity, but it need not be, is what I'm getting, you know, outside of us.
Okay.
Yes.
I get it. Okay. So prayer has to do with manifesting our positive thoughts.
Yes.
Okay. And some Hindus give a lot of importance to their tribal deity, whom we call Kuladevam.
Yes.
You know, and some people again believe that we have to reach source. I'm just clarifying it for some of my friends. We have to reach source through our Kuladevam. Our Kuladevam will forward our appeals, you know, just as how a lawyer would, you know, appeal for us in a court of law. So our Kuladevam would carry our pleas to God. Is there any truth to it, in that belief?
Kuladevams are sort of like ancestral spirits, you know.
Yes.
So it is nothing more than our loved ones being on the other side and constantly guiding us.
Yes.
But just like our spirit guides can guide us, but they would never interfere with our free will.
That's right.
Correct? So there has to be a demarcation between taking the blessings like how we do with our father or our mom or our loved ones, that we always want them to be around. We give them a space in the house and in our hearts, which is fine, which is good. You know, just acknowledging their being, which is good. The same applies to even the Kuladevams or the deities, the family gods or the tribal gods. But giving all your power to the deity and thinking, okay, if I just keep praying to this particular entity, I will reach to source one day. That's not going to work.
That's right.
Because it's all about your free will, and you just same, just like how we can't just stick a picture in a vision board and, you know, I will be manifesting this house one day and I'll just sit and eat popcorn and watch movies at my home. That's not going to happen.
We have to work our asses off.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's how it works. So worshipping is fine. The demarcation has to come when you are giving your own power to somebody.
Yeah. Okay. To go back to the concept of throwing our praise out into the universe, or our optimistic beliefs, thoughts out into the universe, and then attracting the same. If it is not in our spiritual contract, we are not going to be granted what we fervently, what we may fervently have been wishing for so many years, right? If it's not in the contract, we may not manifest our optimistic
Erik is
thoughts.
smiling. Erik is smiling, and he says, well, you never know.
Oh.
You know, sometimes the free
you can keep hoping.
Mostly it is contractual. The lessons have to come in our life throughout our journey in one form or the other. So if we have these set of lessons to be learned by the time we are out of this place, it will happen in one way or the other through various experiences. But sometimes, like we say, we make our own destiny, which is also true. So there are certain things which are contractual at the same time. Then a lot of concept can come in, like what we talk in Hinduism about karma, and so it's, you know, it's a mixture of all of that. So free will and contractual.
Okay, so I have a question on karma. In a bit, we'll come to that. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is a holy book of the Hindus, in chapter 7, on the topic of knowledge of the absolute, which is God, verse 23 translates as this: men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but God's devotees ultimately reach God's supreme planet, which must be heaven. Is that right? If they worship the demigods, they go to the planets of the demigods.
When it comes to knowing the absolute truth, is that's what it's talking about?
Or God,
Yes. So same like we were discussing right now, that when we are focused on something particular, we end up losing our sight on the other aspects around us. You know, so the devotion and worshipping sometimes takes away our own power and the other beautiful experiences that we could have had to reach and to find the big truth, or reaching the source, or reaching the heaven, you can call it.
Okay.
So maybe that's what it is mentioned, that when you, because demigods or any certain deity, or maybe that's why they're saying they'll reach the planets, is that's how they're explaining me the concept is like, when you focus on just one part of the universe, which is vast, that's all you're gonna get.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have to be open to getting the bigger picture.
What you believe in is what you get.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Now, I've read somewhere that Archangel Metatron is the record keeper. And in Hinduism, Lord Chitragupta is the one who keeps the record of everything that humans think or say or do from the moment they take an incarnation. So would they be the same entity, like Archangel Metatron and Chitragupta? Are they one and the same? Or is there some angel or Devas, so to speak, actually keeping a record of our what our thoughts and actions, which are again shown to us during our life review after we transition. Would the records be the same as Akashic records?
I was coming to that, yes. So definitely there is a sort of like a text or a record book kept for everything that we do, we experience, from even the tiniest sneezes that we've got, to the yawns, and to the people that we've hurt knowingly, unknowingly, we've got hurt from, everything. Those records are definitely kept, and Akashic records are there, are real, very much real. But when it comes to people taking care of, I mean, the entities taking care of the Metatron, and what was the other one we were talking about?
Chitragupta.
Okay, so there are more than them. I mean, there are multiple. It's almost like Erik says, sometimes the duties can be delegated to when we have our life review. Not necessarily we'll be meeting Chitragupta or Metatron.
Yes.
To, you know, okay, let's show us a movie, show you a movie, you know, that's not going to happen. Which will make sense then.
That would be fun though.
I know. Oh my God, yes. That wasn't fun for Erik either. That's what he's mentioned in the book by him. That won't be fun. Too much of homework to be done. So that's not necessarily only these two energies working or taking care of that. There are more people and
in charge of record keeping.
Yes.
Okay. Talking about the Vedas, is it true that Aryan scholars downloaded the information from source and gave it to Hindus as Vedas?
Initially, I'm getting a feel of, they're showing me sages who used to meditate in the jungles, who used to live a very simple life, almost like they followed veganism, because that was the most non-violent source of food, you know.
The easiest thing to find when you're out in the jungle meditating.
And Erik says, yes, killing an animal needs some energy and guts.
Yeah,
so
and some equipment, tools perhaps.
So that came later on. So yes, there were few beings who were spending a life which was very much close to Earth's energy in terms of their, when we talk about our frequency. So they were getting quite near to the place where they could receive these downloads. But when that knowledge was transferred, some of it got misinterpreted, like all the religions in the world. Like
interpolations.
Yes. And then when it got written, again, there was another, because sometimes that's what even I as a medium always find it difficult. The visuals that they give me, you know, this is just an example. Sometimes they're so beautiful, but I find it very difficult to put it into words.
True.
So that's part of knowledge transfer.
Yeah, I can understand it as a teacher myself. Sometimes I would give it interpretations, color it based on, a particular concept. I would color it based on my own understanding of it, my own personal experiences, which may not really, reflect the concept in its original, the way it's meant to be understood. It's possible. We're all human. Yeah. So take everything with a pinch of salt.
Absolutely. And also Erik is chiming in. He says, well, Aryans were not the only ones who received the downloads. He's showing me Egypt. And, the Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians were doing a much more, fabulous stuff with scientific things. Even we are still discovering. They had immense knowledge. So they were downloading stuff from the universe, definitely.
Interesting.
And and there were so many people who were in contact with aliens, even like, you know, hundreds of years back is what I'm getting. Yes. So yes, Aryans did that, but not they were not the only ones is what I'm receiving. They were.
Did the Egyptians script whatever they downloaded? Because I'd like to know if they are scripted. I'd like to, you know, read them.
Some of it is scripted, but it's almost like Erik is showing me like it's scattered around the world, like because everybody wanted to have a piece of it.
Okay.
You know, keep it like a sacred text.
I know. Is it called by any specific name? So I can look for it, Google for it.
Yes, is what I'm getting.
Okay.
I don't know if they had some texts written even on the tombs where they used to bury. I guess they had these. I guess
inscriptions.
Yes, giving me hieroglyphics.
Okay.
You know, the pictorial stuff.
Yes.
They have good amount of knowledge, but yes, if you want to figure that out, you'll have to spend like decades finding pieces everywhere.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Maybe in scrolls in the form of hieroglyphics.
Yes, you can definitely find some of it on Google is what I'm getting. That's what Erik says. Yes, if you want to learn.
Okay. Is the Aryan invasion theory real? Did the Aryans really invade India, or they were just like Dravidians? They were just living in India to begin with, and the concept is just a human, a theory cooked up by some humans.
I'm getting that it was sort of like all wars, like when it comes to survival and you are on the verge of losing your land for your family. It was something of, I mean, the invasion was part of that because it was a need of the hour. I'm asking whether it was the Aryans who invaded. Yes.
Okay. So it's real.
Yes, it was just like how any other wars were created, you know, when it came to their own survival of the fittest kind of thing. Yes.
Because from what I know, Aryans lived around Mount Caucasus, hence the word Caucasian. And they dispersed in different directions, going into Europe, going into Siberia, going down into North America, and this way towards the Indian subcontinent. And they look totally different from Dravidians in terms of facial features. They would look somewhat close, they would be closer in their features, facial features, to whom we call Westerners now. So is that true? Is that true? Aryans came from around Mount Caucasus?
Yes, they did. But also there were some of the Aryans who had mixed ancestry, if that makes sense. I'm asking, so which part of the world? A very small sect of Aryans were having mixed ancestry from even people, which is interesting, which even people could be from, the ancestry could be even from the Pleiadians, which are alien beings. So, you know, yes, but it was not a visible, they didn't have the knowledge to know it. So most of them, so that's what I'm getting. So just a small part of them had a mixed ancestry is what I'm getting,
Lovely. We are overshooting the time. Is that okay?
I guess, yes. So I guess we'll have to close this now.
Yeah, okay. So one last question.
Sure.
Some Hindus believe that we'll take up the Aryan invasion concept in a totally different interview. And now, one last question is, some Hindus believe that when souls transition, there's some sort of an astral block which prevents them from transitioning immediately. So they have to hang around on the earthly plane. For how long, I don't know. Is that true?
Erik says the lock is in here.
Oh, okay.
That we've been sort of like, if a person is always brought up with a feeling, with the concept of you will see Yama, as we say in Hindu, Yamaraj, the guy who comes when you die. You know, he sits on a bull, if I'm not wrong. That's the mythology. Yes. So if that's the concept you've been told since you were a child, it is not a pleasant feeling. So you would try to resist it as long as possible, even in spirit, because you're not ready. At the same time, when sometimes people have a sudden crossing over, when they're not ready physically, when it comes to young people leaving the plane of earth, so they're not ready in here. So that's the lock that is mentioned. It's not actually a lock or a door. The block is in here, and some people, people take their own time crossing.
I get it. Yeah, for some of them, it's just what do you call it? They're in shock, and they need a bit of time. They need some help, probably from their spirit guides to help them transition.
In fact, that is mentioned in Erik's book also. He took his time
to say his goodbyes.
There's a lot of things, right? There's the pain of leaving your loved ones behind. And even that, and Erik is explaining, that necessarily doesn't happen with people who have lived a good life. I mean, that's not how it works. When a person who has lived a good life and is going out of old age, but still maybe he's ready. He wants to have more beautiful experiences. So that doesn't, affect the person's age. I mean, it doesn't matter. It can happen with anybody is what I'm getting.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just thought of karma, and just one question came up. Definitely, this will be the last one. And that is, sometimes, of course, our actions, this is Newton's third law of motion, our actions have their own effects, results. Often, I've read that souls plan to experience certain effects of their actions in forthcoming incarnations during their pre-birth planning. But do some actions get to be, the results of our actions get to be experienced in the same incarnation?
Absolutely, all the time. What I'm getting.
All right.
Because
so you can experience it in the same lifetime or plan to experience it. It's our free will.
Mostly in the same lifetime is what I'm getting.
Wonderful. Yes. I like that.
Because so that people... they're telling me karma is pretty quick is what I'm getting. If karma is what we're talking about, it's...
Yes.
You don't realize it, but you do get a feel. Anybody who is actually being mean knows he is mean, or I mean, you know, the awareness might not be, this is Erik talking here, the awareness might not be as strong as to stop that person from being mean. I mean, that's not always the case, but you know when you're lying.
Yeah,
even
I
the
know
smallest things, when you know when you're hurting. The purpose is different. Sometimes that's what you're meant to do on earth.
Yeah.
You have taken, you know, he says a mean birth, if that makes sense. You've taken a mean birth. What kind of person that will be? Yeah, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because, tell me, sorry.
Yes, that awareness is always there. So you know it, you're gonna be getting in trouble, whether it's in subconscious or conscious, or whether it happens a little while later. Sometimes we resist so much sometimes when the, okay, this I have to tell this, Erik says, sometimes when the resistance is so much, we experience it here and we carry it to the other life. That makes sense because we bring a lot of fears from our past lives.
True. The same way we carry it to the next incarnation, and then we those kind of things we plan during our pre-birth planning sessions to experience in so-called forthcoming incarnations. Because often I see people wanting to take and take and take and take, thinking that they're being smart in taking for free. And then I've noticed the same people losing out on from other angles. For instance, their jewelry would get lost, their money would get stolen, and they don't realize the connection. I believe in a fair exchange of energy, but then I'm used to giving, and people are used to taking from me. And sometimes I have to tell them, well, let me charge a small fee at least. Otherwise, it's not that I'm going to build a castle with that small fee. It's just that I want you to experience a balance.
The problem comes because they are also coming from a space where they feel they've not been given enough.
Oh, okay.
So obviously there's a lack. So that's why the hoarding mentality. Yes. So yes, but you need not give away for another person's journey. Yes, that's you just the knowledge of it makes it easier to digest. Is what I'm getting.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll call it a day. Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you, God, for being here with us and clarifying so many of my doubts. And thank you, Erik. Thank you so much. Yes.
Erik is sending kisses to one and all. He says, I love you all. And Source or these set of people, they are, it's funny and exciting for me because this is a very weird feeling. I've never channeled Source. To know that they are as excited as us, asking questions, but they are as excited as us having this conversation.
Yeah, I know being Source, she is not going to find my questions silly, but I just wanted some, like I said, clarifications. I know there is no such thing as a silly question because I know there is no such thing as right or wrong according in Source's eyes. So God, I love you so much. I know you're inside of me. I feel you. Thank you so much for being with us. Specifically for this interview, I know you're always there for us, but thank you so much. Namaste. Thank you, Erik. I love you.
Namaste. You're welcome. Erik says you're welcome. And thank you so much, Gita, for giving me this opportunity. It was a very interesting. I got so much knowledge about everything that we talked about.
As I did. Thank you so much, lovely. Friends, please check out lovely Vinod at her website, thelovelylife.in. Isn't she amazing? Thank you so much, lovely. You are gifted. God bless you.
You're welcome, Gita. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye.